Hello there.
Hello there.
Welcome to What If Qui-Gon Didn't Die? My name's Jamie,
And my name's Shaun.
and we like talking about Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Star Wars. And this is our main Monday episode where we like to deep dive and talk.
Stroke our headcanon.
Yeah, stroke our headcanon. We just talk nonsense for a bit, and hopefully you come with us on the journey and we try and work out if scenarios worked out differently, what would happen.
Yeah.
That wasn't the most concise way I could have said that.
Most of you now know how we work.
Yeah.
Just limited research and a lot of jumble mumble.
It's a mess, but
It's enjoyable.
it's what we do.
Enjoyable mess.
So this week, would you like to introduce what we're going to be asking?
We're going to ask the question: what if Han Solo was Force sensitive?
Excellent. I think it's fair to say there's two ways to look at this question.
Yeah.
One is in both scenarios he knows that he's force sensitive, but in one scenario he hides it,
Yeah.
and in the other scenario he uses it.
He allows it.
Covert and overt
Yes.
force sensitive operations.
Yeah. Yeah. This is quite a good one actually. Which avenue do you want to go down first?
Well, I think if we go with the one which is more like the actual story, which is he hides it.
Yeah.
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 So I think the idea here would be that he knows he's force sensitive, but he's not going to tell anybody about it because he doesn't want to draw attention to himself. He perhaps knows about Order 66 and maybe he's got knowledge of Jedi hunters.
And of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's always claimed that he knows nothing. He just thinks they're space wizards.
Yeah. Which is funny because he also says that he has seen a lot of strange things in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Surely he would have come across something. If he's seen so much weirdness, he would have come across a tale of a Jedi.
Yes.
Or a Jedi temple, or something like that, or somebody doing something with a cup, which only a Jedi would do. If that's not a strange thing a smuggler hasn't seen in his million years of life or whatever.
Well travelled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's sort of making out that it's not. I think he's worded it wrong in the film, kind of, because he knows that I don't think he wants to believe in the Force.
That's what we're led to believe.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's our conspiracy theory chat there.
Yeah.
That's what big Jedi want you to believe.
Yeah, that's it. Big Jeds. Big Jeds in the back.
So going on from this then. So let's say he knows about the Jedi, knows of the Force. He has Force sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
My first reaction to this is he meets Obi-Wan. It's not so much Luke, because at the start Luke is not a Force entity, even though he will have the Force about him.
Yeah. He's got it in him because of Anakin.
Yeah.
But
he's not...
He's not like Obi-Wan, who's bleeding the Force into the aura, sort of thing, you know. Yeah.
And he talks about it openly, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Luke wants to believe. Regular Fox Mulder wants to believe. And Obi-Wan's going to show him. When they go and negotiate a price to get on Han's ship, Han's a smuggler. He's only in it for the money.
Yeah.
But he also recognises these people. He sees the lightsaber.
Yeah, and he sees Obi-Wan, obviously.
Yeah.
You know.
Wielding it, chopping the guy's arm off and whatever.
Yeah.
At that point, does he go, in his head, go, I need to protect these people, but I'm going to make it difficult.
Yeah, to make the show that I don't believe or anything like that, because then I can be outside looking in.
Yeah.
You know, not in the thick of it.
Keep himself safe from potential harm.
Yeah. While protecting or looking on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he might not have had... At this point, he's maybe never had any training.
No.
But we could argue that he's aware and he can see other Force users.
Yeah, and feel them.
Yeah.
You know, which is...
But he's got such a low level of it in himself that perhaps other people don't realise that he is or maybe like, he'll just if he's in a crowd, people wouldn't be able to pinpoint him.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like Vader going, "Oh, he's down that corridor down there.
Yeah.
I can feel him."
Yeah.
But this is quite a nice idea, because if he knows about it, but he's trying to hide it, it actually makes sense for his life building up to meeting Obi-Wan. He's a smuggler who's had lots of success, which is kind of pure luck. But what's luck in the galaxy?
Arguable success, yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's the Force.
He's manipulated people,
and he got the shot off first. How would he know that Matey had a gun and when to shoot? He shot the second before. Why is that? Force.
He was quicker. Just throwing forward a bit here to episode 7, when they're on the smuggling ship, and the two rival gangs turn up.
Yeah.
And he says, "I'll talk my way out of this."
Yeah.
And I think Chewie says something like, "No, you won't."
Yeah.
And he says, "I always do. I always do." And it's because he's
using the Force.
He's
using the Force to talk his way out of it. Look, and the reason why he doesn't get away with it with Jabba is because, like Watto, Jabba doesn't.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker can't even break.
Yeah, Jabba's mental sort of fortitude.
Yeah.
So actually, this is why he can't talk out of Jabba.
Oh yeah.
Do you see what I mean? And what was the other thing?
We've opened a hole here.
We have, but also his friendship with Chewie. And I know how him and Chewie met, because it's in the comics, and then they made a film about it. But to have an affinity, you know, with Chewie like that, and understand every guttural noise, and know how he's feeling, and know how to talk to him, and and feel that connection.
Well, the Jedi and the Wookiee fought side by side.
That's it. They did, and also because they're just big furry animal people, aren't they? And
all carpets.
Yeah, all Jedi have an affinity with animals.
Yeah.
Well, most of them do anyway. Look at Ezra Bridger. Him and them wolves. And I know it's a bit funny, but like Leia and the Ewoks, she's Force sensitive. She's able to not manipulate, but intertwine her Force with the Force echoes, because everything's got the Force. Let's just assume all living creatures do, like we said in an episode a little while ago now. She was able to intertwine her Force with the Ewoks. Han and Chewie have a special relationship also, maybe because of Han's Force sensitivity. Him and Chewie have a mutual understanding on a deeper level than just we're mates in it for the money.
Co-workers.
Yeah. Because of the Force, he's able to, I don't know, and Chewie's able to understand Han a bit more, which is why he stuck by him, even though we think Han's a bit of a KNOB.
No, that's Obi-Wan.
Yeah. But, just with an R there. But actually, he's able to feel Han's Force bleeding out, maybe. So, and there's all these little things, and so I think that's a good point to put in there, that it's arguably an easier thing to say, oh yeah, he is good at his job, but it's because he's Force sensitive, and even if he's denying it, getting that shot off first in the bazaar, if you think about it to the point where you can deflect laser blasts, which travel at the speed of light almost, with a lightsaber, you can pull a gun first and shoot, and know just to move your head slightly so the shot hits the wall.
Yeah.
Like, how would he know? Unless the Force guided him.
It's just very lucky.
Yeah, but what do they say about luck in the films?
Well, yeah.
It's the Force, because the Force is around everybody. So even if he's not thinking he's Force sensitive, the Force is definitely sort of surrounding him enough to guide him.
Yeah.
Because the Force is like an all-powerful God almost, even though it's in your blood, and it's like having diabetes for Jedi. But
it's really, I've genuinely never thought about this until 5-10 minutes before we started recording, and I looked up what should we talk about.
Yeah.
And then brain goes into overdrive, and then all of a sudden we're now in this rabbit hole of when we look back at the events of Han Solo
and doing the parsec run in 12 seconds.
And being able to avoid the creatures within.
Yeah, how would he do that unless he had some innate instinct from the Force?
Yeah, something guiding him.
Because his physical eyes can't see, because he's in hyperspace. And his ship's sensors don't work that well, because he's in hyperspace. It's the Force guiding him, isn't it?
No, this is a nuts theory, isn't it?
Yeah. I know there's a fair bit online as well, people, but you're listening to us chat about it here. This is quite.
We've not looked. Well, I've not looked at
yeah,
any of this. So
yeah,
this
I know it's out there, but I haven't had a read or anything
this,
like that.
this is coming straight off the top of my dome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rock this microphone. Now, if you understand that reference, then perhaps you're as old as I am. Yeah. Okay. So going back to using that force sensitivity, keeping it quiet, but then using it to protect and guide what might be the only hope for the galaxy in Luke.
Yeah.
Perhaps he's not stupid. Han Solo, he comes across as being a bit of a joker, a bit of a buffoon, a bit of a wild card, but he's not stupid.
No.
And he always makes choices based on, is he going to earn any money out of it, and how risky is it going to be?
Yeah.
Is it worth the risk? Now, never tell him the odds. We know this.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to know.
Yeah.
Because in his head, he's worked it out for himself.
Yeah,
he doesn't want somebody else saying there's 1,000,000 to 1 chance it's going to succeed.
Yeah.
Because he is that one. He knows he's that one. Anyway, he sees Luke as being the potential to defeat the Empire.
Yeah.
Potentially in this force sensitive world. And he sees Obi-Wan, but he knows Obi-Wan's too old. He's not defeating Darth Vader. He may or may not know the Emperor exists because he's always been a dark, hidden entity, hasn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
But he obviously knows about stormtroopers. But the numbers would be too much for an old man of any skill level.
And I think that this is why he's a bit he doesn't fight Obi-Wan, but he's got his barriers up with Obi-Wan to the point where it seems he's obnoxious towards an old man. And like in our generation, you respect your elders, and he don't. But that's probably because he's trying to guard himself from Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And then he has a gut instinct that Obi-Wan's not going to make it to the end of the story. So he's just sort of not trying to get too into it.
Or maybe he's just trying to neg him into forcing Luke to learn quickly.
That's actually quite a good shout. Yeah.
Because
Luke does need to hurry up.
Yeah. Because if Obi-Wan believes that Han Solo is a loose cannon and is likely to get them killed at some point, he might force, no pun intended, but force the training onto Luke, so he can build up his skill level quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a sort of the intro, I suppose, to what would be the benefits.
Happen. Yeah. So let's think about it this way. So when they go on the Death Star, this is another classic the Force is enveloping him idea, and he's trying to hide it. He goes in the room and he tries to joke off that not joke off joke off that he's
the Force tug is strong.
The Force tug is strong. With them two stormtroopers near where Leia's held, right, and then he shoots them.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Maybe he wasn't really trying. Because not long before that, he'd spoken with Jabba, and he's like, "Oh, you can't control me." But he also knows Darth Vader's on the ship, so he's like, "I'm not going to try." And he tries to talk his way out of it. But you see that fail. Why? Because he's not trying with the Force to get the stormtroopers out of the way, and then he shoots them.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, we're talking like true conspiracy theorists here, where we can sort of spin anything to work our way, but. Perhaps it is just a case of he's turned up, he's in a rush.
Yeah.
He's got his mate in handcuffs, who he knows will get angry at any second.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to be in handcuffs. He'd rather fight the stormtroopers than
actually pretend and walk around. Yeah.
Because he also knows that even if he negotiates with the stormtroopers in charge, how's he going to get Princess Leia out of there?
Yeah, well, he can't talk his way into her cell and to get her out. Yeah.
So you could sort of think that he knows that's going to be a losing battle.
Yeah.
So he's going to try it.
Yeah.
He's going to half-heartedly try it, but he ultimately knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Wookiee's going to smash him.
Yeah. And then, but all of the events of that Death Star, you think they get Leia out, and he already he sort of sussed how he's got to be around her.
Yeah.
He's the same around her up until the moment they do fall in love.
Again, always negging.
Always negging because he can't.
He can't let his guard down.
No.
And he can't allow anybody in. He doesn't want to show his feelings.
Yep.
And we know that he loves her.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
I mean, it's probably instant love. Obviously, he's far too cool to admit that. But
yeah, he's too cool for school.
He sees her and goes, yeah, I want somebody half my age.
Yeah. yeah, basically.
Right.
I'm a grown man at this point, but I'll have somebody who's in their teens. Let's not think about that.
But then he doesn't want to stick around. So he's always protecting himself, and I think this is a life of always. He lives a dark life, doesn't he? Because he's a smuggler, so he's always on the wrong side of the law.
Yeah,
he's always dealing with shady people, and he's always trying to get a good deal for himself.
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, he probably owes somebody some money somewhere.
Oh, it's Jabba, isn't it? He owes Jabba the money.
Yeah,
so he's trying to smuggle to get Jabba the money.
And there's probably other parties as well.
Oh yeah, like the pirates from Pike and whatnot. Yeah,
yeah. So there's tons of people he's probably so he's looking after himself. He knows that he needs that money. So when they say, there's a princess, she's got lots of money, you'll be handsomely rewarded.
He's like that. Yeah, go on then.
He was probably already going to do it. But the fact is that, now I can negotiate with this.
Yeah.
And when we see him at the end and he's lugging away huge boxes of what we assume is treasure or gold or...
Yeah, which is funny because he doesn't pay Jabba off with it. So and then
of course he doesn't, because he's never going to pay Jabba.
No, and then he gets caught. And if he just paid Jabba off, Vader might not have sent him back there. But let's look at it this way, quick, just to go back to my little Death Star thing. Yeah. At the end, when Obi-Wan's fighting thingy,
yes,
obviously they get out of the garbage chute. Luke's still not very forcey. Han already knows which corridor to go down. He's never been on this ship.
No.
How does he know? Because the Force is guiding him back to the Falcon, because the Force is trying to get him on there. And then the second he sees Obi-Wan, he says, "Kid, leave him, come on." Because he already knows that this powerful entity is going to smite this old bugger.
Yeah.
And he's saying, come on, we got to go. We got to go.
He needs to protect Luke.
Yeah, and he's hip blasting, and he's killing a stormtrooper with each hip blast. Why is that? Do you know how difficult it is to shoot from the hip and actually get a score?
Yeah.
I've seen people do it in videos here, but they're obviously trained professionals. He's just a smuggler who's running around.
Yeah.
Force. And then he gets the boy on the ship. He's able, to escape, which leads back to that the Force has given him the luck of the dice.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. So in that section alone, I think, in a weird way, Han's using the Force more than we think,
and it can be disguised as well
as just pure "I'm a pirate, potluck, we need to get out of here, scream and shout."
But he can disguise it as Obi-Wan's energy.
Yeah, of course, because Darth Vader already knows that Obi-Wan's there.
There's energy going on there.
Yeah,
Jedi energy that if he was able to sort of, it sounds very Dragon Ball, but raise his level a touch.
Yeah.
Then and use that Force a bit more openly.
Oh, Vader would have probably known that it was then him.
Yeah, but then like you say, it's the luck, isn't it? So his Force isn't an overt thing. It's just it helps him.
Yeah, it guides him to where he needs to be.
And if he doesn't need the guidance, it probably doesn't work. So maybe that's when they get into the prison cell, the Force doesn't need to help him there.
Yeah,
the Force knows what's going to happen.
Yeah,
is you're going to have a fight here, but you're going to save the princess, so it's all fine.
Yeah. And it's all stuff like that. And like at the end when he comes back, he's shot off with his money or whatever, and then he came back at the end, and all we hear is, follow the Force, Luke, use the Force. But actually, even though Han won't admit it, maybe he had an overwhelming urge, again, being tugged by the Force, to go back. And that wouldn't have been his conscience, maybe, well, it might have been.
Well,
he went back for his conscience, but what I mean is, maybe the Force sort of give him that little, like he had that feeling of, I need to have an impact here, because otherwise...
This is my chance.
This is my chance, because they're going to fail if I don't show up.
Look after the boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everything he says up to that point is, I'm gone.
Yeah.
As soon as this is done, I'm out of here. Give me my money.
Sorry, princess, I'm a smuggler.
Yeah. So why would he come back?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's nice that he comes back, and in the story, it's like hero return, sort of sort of idea, I suppose. But actually, why is he really back?
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe it is the Force just saying, look,
Yeah.
it just changes his conscience and goes,
maybe
you need to help him. He's not going to make it without you.
Yeah.
But you need to help him.
Yeah.
And it'll help you.
Yeah.
Because it does help him in the end.
Yeah, it does, yeah. But it might not even be a conscious thing. Like when you sat on the chair and it's just like, suddenly it's like a little voice in the back of your head just goes, what about doing this?
Yeah.
And maybe he's had that, and then before long it's just consumed him. And he hasn't even thought about it.
No.
But he's already flying the ship to where the Death Star is. I can't remember the name of the planet for the life of me.
It was Alderaan, wasn't it?
Alderaan, yeah. So he's flying there. Yeah, and that might just be the Force again. He's not using the Force. He's not like meditating, but there's just a little like nudging hand in the back. It might even be Qui-Gon. Just
could you imagine the ghost of Qui-Gon is actually helping Han Solo?
Yeah, and every little thing is just Qui-Gon. Like when Greedo shoots him, it's just Qui-Gon nudging his gun to the left a bit.
Yeah,
his little Force goes
snatching Jar Jar's tongue,
pressing Han's finger on the blaster a bit too early. So but then and Han can keep denying it. But I think because by episode 7, he's gone off because him and Leia want to do their own things. He wants to continue to be a smuggler, which is fine. But that leads into something else that I've thought about. He likes being a smuggler because he likes the fact that, let's say, even in his old age, he's still denying that he's Force sensitive.
Yeah.
Even though his son is, Ben Solo, Force sensitive, his wife, is Force sensitive, his brother-in-law's Force sensitive, blah, blah, blah. He wants to go off and smuggle. Why? He doesn't want to be a rebel anymore because he can't utilise his Force luck in a scale that big.
No.
Because it's only affecting what he has control over.
He would become unlucky in those surroundings, wouldn't he?
Yeah, because obviously you've got Leia, which is trying to use the Force, and you've got the rebels, which are always being outgunned and outmanned, and he's gone, I can't keep dealing with this. If I go back to smuggling, I'm going to get results because I'm going to be able to subconsciously, he doesn't know about it, but the Force is going to then help him to get wins again.
Yeah, manipulate the situation.
Which could be why he leaves.
Yeah.
Because he misses the fact that when he was a smuggler and in the early days
he was in
Luke,
control of his own life and his own destiny.
Yeah, whereas when he's in the Rebel Alliance with Leia, the Force it can't really do what he needs it to do. He might win every battle. I mean, he's not dead yet in episode 7.
No.
So he's not died, but it's still not the wins he wants because him in the battle can't really win all the time. So, it just shows again that he probably is Force sensitive.
Yeah, he probably just felt lost at sea.
Yeah.
In the enveloping arms of the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah, and the Force couldn't guide him because there's just so much going on.
Yeah.
And and with Luke going, it's sort of made an unbalance. And his son on his mind all of the time. Again, he went to be a smuggler again because of Ben. But maybe that as well because Ben's Force and Leia's Force was just at heads all the time.
Yeah.
And it was so sort of like Ben is so angry. Maybe if he went off and smuggled, that would lessen. So the Force that he needed and the little talks in the back of his head, little Qui-Gon giving him the nudges, would come back. And that's probably why he did it. If he was Force sensitive anyway.
Yeah.
We're talking in our little headcanon here. That he's still denying it. Because he denies it till the very end, but he probably tries to use that gift when he's talking to Ben Solo in the film. Obviously, then he dies.
Yeah, and I think he says all the right things. He just...
Yeah. Maybe because Ben is stronger in the Force.
And you can't argue with the Sith. You can't reason with him.
Yeah, there's no reasoning with him, no.
So if he's already on that path, which he is, as we know, then you can say what you like, but his mind's made up, and he's got his master who he's got to obey, and he won't go against his master.
And a little bit of force from an unknowing smuggler isn't going to overpower the thing. And this is why he tries to do the chat to save him. And he tries to say, just come home, but that gift of the gab with the Force ain't going to work here.
That's probably why Leia wants him to talk to Ben.
Yeah.
Rather than Leia herself.
Yeah.
Because she'll be like, well, you always talk yourself out of situations. Like, you can solve stuff by talking.
Yeah.
That other people can't do.
You've got that luck of the...
Yeah, the gift of the gab.
Yeah, but it doesn't work, obviously, because Ben's just consumed.
Yeah. It's too late for him.
It's too late for him, and he knows he's got to kill his dad. But yeah, and I think all the way up to the end, we're still on the sort of denial road here, people. I think it's a good theory that he denies it, but the Force isn't just moving stuff with your hand or your mind or, deflecting bullets like Kylo Ren does. It's everything.
It's everything, yeah.
They make out, obviously in the film canon, that everything affects it, and all living things have it. And he, quite potentially, and again, like you said, he knows he's got to look after Leia and Luke, and he falls in love with Leia. But what if he falls in love with the idea of them because he doesn't know he's Force sensitive, but because he is, he's sort of
he's drawn to them.
Yeah, and that's why. And he gets so involved, and he doesn't understand why, because he's a smuggler, and he thinks, oh God, I'm such a wuss. What am I doing? I shouldn't be here with these two nippers. But the Force is sort of pulling him in because it's trying to, create that synergy there. Yeah, good little theory that. I think I like the one where he doesn't believe it, but in the background the Force is almost guiding him without anybody realising. Even Obi-Wan don't realise.
Yeah, I like this, and I like it as a conspiracy theory type sort of analysis.
Yeah.
The second part of this question, the second main thing we can talk about is definitely more headcanon, more fantasy. What if?
Yeah.
I think the first part is very much. It could very well be.
Yeah.
It's just being hidden.
Yeah. It's been written well.
Yeah.
That we don't think so.
Or as a conspiracy theorist, would be they're just overreading.
Yeah.
Thinking too much about it.
Yeah.
Actually, he's not Force sensitive. He's just got a bit of luck on his side.
He's just a lucky guy.
He's just in the right place at the right time, and that's how the story goes.
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely a good argument there that he would have
even a little bit.
Yeah.
Of
Force sensitivity. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. I think we've done quite well there.
Yeah.
Let's switch it then.
Switch her up.
So, now, what do we think would happen if Han Solo was Force sensitive but actually became a Jedi or a stronger Force user? Not necessarily a Jedi, but somebody who is able to willingly manipulate
the Force.
Yeah, and knows that that's what they're doing.
It'd be a tough one because would we say he knows prior to meeting Obi-Wan and Luke? Or do you think Obi-Wan would be the one to tell him and then he would try?
That's an interesting question, because assuming Order 66, it happens.
Yeah.
So assuming he knows about that and he knows that to keep himself safe he's got to hide it.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't do the training, but when he meets Obi-Wan and meets Luke, perhaps then, yeah, like you say, there's two options there. One, Obi-Wan goes, there's something about you. I think you've got some of the Force in you.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I have, but I've been keeping it quiet because of the events.
Yeah, that happened,
the troubles.
Yeah.
Or he sees Obi-Wan training Luke and then goes, can I have a go?
Yeah.
And he learns as well. Or maybe he's just always been a Jedi. Maybe he's always known. Maybe he's trained himself.
Yeah, maybe he's been to some temples, know.
But like Obi-Wan, and like some of the other Jedi that still exist in the world,
tapped it away. Shut the door.
Yeah, he keeps it really quiet. So if he was a Jedi, now this is a leap of the imagination, I think, because it's not the story at all.
And it's not his nature. The nature that we know and the character he gives off in the films.
Yeah.
Like it would change his I don't know, his character in a way that people wouldn't know him as Han Solo as we know and love. So this is taking it off in a sort of weird direction where either he stays Han Solo and he's an arrogant son of a bee, with a lightsaber, or does he actually become like a bit like, well, I guess Mace Windu was very sort of hard spoken for a Jedi. Maybe he'd be a bit more sort of like that.
I'm trying to place him like where he'd be on the scale. So you've got Yoda, who would be pure and white.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Sith, who are the darkness. And you've got people like Qui-Gon, who sit somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, the nice grey Jedi.
Yeah.
The ones we like.
Han Solo would probably sit somewhere between the grey Jedi and the Sith, I reckon.
Yeah.
Closer to the grey Jedi, but definitely kind of just above Dooku.
Yeah.
On that scale where he can see, because Dooku, I think, as much as he is Sith, I feel like he's only a couple of conversations away from being reasoned with and brought back. He's
a very smart dude, Dooku.
Yeah,
as we've said in our other episode, love him.
So I think Han Solo would be somewhere in between Qui-Gon and Dooku in that sort of range, because he's got that kind of.
He's got that self-centered almost view of the world, arrogance, because let's be fair, even if he was a Jedi, he'd still want to be a smuggler.
Yes.
Because he likes money. Which isn't obviously the path of light and holiness and peacekeeping. It's I am a Jedi, but I also like money and drink and women and and all them other things. And I got a nice ship. It's he wouldn't be Han Solo if he wasn't still a smuggler.
Yes. So he'd have to maintain a level of doing stuff for himself.
Yeah. Which is a selfish act, which is sort of down the path of the bad boys.
Yeah, it's kind of the anti-Jedi way, isn't it? He shouldn't be with any women. He shouldn't be worried about money. He shouldn't be stealing or doing any of these bad things. But the Sith don't do that either, because they're more consumed with power and dominion and just
and just taking over everything.
So he's not quite as bad as that, but he just needs that little niche, doesn't he, where he's able to sort of go, I'm a Jedi, I'm going to steal your money, and you're going to do nothing about it because I'm a Jedi.
Yeah, I can mind trick you, and I only bring out my lightsabers in, because he doesn't have to wear a cloak, and he doesn't have to use lightsaber, but he could still be a Jedi. He could still, like, force stuff, do the big jumps, talk his way out of things, because we've said obviously he can talk his way out of things, and it's like a subconscious force there, but he can actually go, maybe I'll tap into this power a bit more here.
Yeah.
Like maybe the convo with Jabba might have gone differently outside the Falcon when he found Luke and Ben, because if he was a Jedi or he knew about it, instead of being like, oh, I'll try but it fails, he would be like, I can actually put some power into this. Or, with Greedo, maybe he would have been able to, instead of the shooting happening at all, if he knew he was a Jedi, maybe he could have gone, mind wipe, and all these things would change. Maybe the outcome would be the same, but if he knew he was a Jedi, it would be more of a conscious effort to use the Force, instead of I've just got loads of luck, kid. Even though it's the Force, and like it's a cool idea, because because he's a smuggler, he wouldn't have to be in the Jedi Temple.
He would be probably the best smuggler
going,
because who's going to...
He'd have foresight and all sorts. You're telling me he wouldn't be able to just know how things are going to... Not know how they're going to pan out, but he would have the experience and then the force sensitivity to go, oh, they're coming round there.
He would possibly also know who he wouldn't deal with.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't have dealt with Jabba, because he knows he can't manipulate Jabba.
Because of the aura and stuff like that, yeah.
I mean, Qui-Gon tries to manipulate Watto, but he doesn't really realise at that point that Watto can't be
force sort of minded.
Because he just looks like a small, insignificant kind of race, doesn't he? Like, surely Qui-Gon's going to be more powerful mentally than Watto's going to be, but actually
turns out no. Yeah.
But so maybe Han Solo would then be like, well, I'm not going to deal with Jabba, I'm going to deal with the person around Jabba. And I'll get everything I want from Jabba out of that.
Yeah.
But through a different avenue. And I think that would save him a lot of hassle.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you know, like it's like we say, he wouldn't have to go. Say he knew he was a Jedi before he met Luke and Obi-Wan. Like he could have gone training anywhere. Like there's loads of temples. You know, maybe there would have been a wandering Jedi. You know, because they all went off all over the galaxy.
Yeah.
Somebody could have taught him a few things, and he's like, all right, well, I'm going to shoot off now, and I'll see you a bit later. You know, when he met Obi-Wan, it might have been a little bit different, but he still wouldn't have tussled with Darth Vader.
No.
Like, he ain't stupid. He's still a smuggler at heart.
Yeah, and he's not going to be the best fighter.
No, because he's more about blaster than
He's
than
more,
thing.
yeah, he's more about mental kind of manipulation, I suppose.
Yeah.
In the same way, you don't see Palpatine wielding a lightsaber, really.
No.
That's not what he does. That's not how he uses the Force.
No, his force is like manipulation.
Yoda uses a lightsaber probably because somebody saw episodes 4, 5, whatever, and thought, "Oh, wouldn't it be cool if the best Jedi ever had a lightsaber?"
Yeah,
and thought that'd be a nice little thing to add in. But actually, really, I don't think he would have used a lightsaber.
Yeah, I don't think he would have ever needed it or used it, which is a good shout. But then this same for Solo, yeah. It's so hard because if you make him that he knows he's a Jedi, it does take away that sort of arrogance of being a smuggler because he has to change some of the things he does.
Yeah.
I don't know, unless he knows he's got the Force, but then he sort of abandons it, like Matey from Rogue One. And I know he has the fight, and he says, "I'm on with the Force, and the Force is with me."
Yes.
But in the beginning, he's just a blind dude. You don't know he's Force sensitive, do you, until the fight scene?
No. Well, that's true. Yeah.
So it would be almost a bit like that, and you'd be like, "Oh yeah, Han Solo, great." And then only when it come out, he could.
And actually, the big guy that looks after him, he thinks it's all mumbo jumbo, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But then at the end, his little final thing, he starts saying it. That becomes his mantra.
Yeah.
In sort of respect for his friend who's now died.
Yeah.
And he's able to then complete the mission, isn't it? He can do what he needs to do and see the end of it, and he survives long enough
to see the end of it.
Yeah. To get to his friend to sort of. That's all he wanted to do, and that's what he achieved by believing.
And the Force gave him that little nudge there to get him there, and I think that's how Solo's sort of, if he was Force sensitive and he knew it, and then obviously when he met Leia and he could feel her Force, because he's a bit older than her, he would have been able to feel that she was in the Force. So maybe it would have changed. It would have changed Luke and Leia's perception of things, and maybe he would have let Luke train Leia. Because he'd have been like, "Yeah, you're both Jedi, but I don't want anything to do with this because I'm a smuggler.
Yeah,
you know, I'll be back in a bit, babes, and then I'll get you pregnant. All right." But go off with your brother and do this. You know, and when Luke talks about going to Dagobah, maybe Solo, maybe he would know Yoda's there, but he just keeps it quiet because he's like, "I haven't seen that crazy old coot in centuries. You know, he's hunted still by the Empire. I'm not going to say anything. Luke, yeah, off you pop. Just don't tell anyone."
Yeah, keep it quiet.
Sort of thing. And he would have been so far out of the circles, he would never have been on the council. He would have never have gone to the temple.
Oh, never ever.
So it would have been he would have been a proper Ronin sort of Jedi, because he's just wandering around doing his own thing.
So, do you think that he would have helped Luke and Obi-Wan? Because he's got this cushy little deal where he's a Jedi, and he knows he is, or he knows he's got the Jedi powers. And what he does is not exactly good Jedi stuff.
Yeah, it's not kosher.
Obi-Wan turns up, and Obi-Wan's pure, isn't he?
Well, I don't know. He chops that bloke's arm off.
Yeah, in defence. It's a desperate time, isn't it? And he knows...
He's in a pub smothered by people.
Yeah.
It's a silly move, but we let him off.
He's old. He's a bit out of touch with it, I suppose.
Yeah.
But he will still have that... He'll still have that pure Jedi aura about him, wouldn't he? You can assume, because that's what you've seen.
Yeah.
He'll always maintain a level of, this is the way, kind of, this is what we do. And when he teaches Luke, he's always trying to say that this is good.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if Han Solo can sense that, he can't probably sense it on Luke so much because
At that point, as we've
At that
said,
point.
he's still sort of level 1.
yeah. But do you think that he can go if I take this old man on board with his young apprentice?
Young apprentice.
Is he gonna be? Is he gonna interfere with my work? So do you think that maybe he would not help because actually it's not beneficial for him at that point because he knows what he's doing is beneficial because he's manipulating, smuggling scenarios and
For
he's
his
doing,
favour, yeah.
yeah. But if he takes somebody on board who goes, actually, this isn't the right way to do things.
Yeah,
You should
it'll be a
be-
bit dangerous, this.
You should be thinking more about helping other people rather than helping yourself.
Yeah.
Do you think then he would go, actually, I'm not going to help you?
Yeah, maybe.
I know.
And maybe he doesn't deal in other Jedi because maybe he's been guarded for so long.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be found out. And, and maybe he would say no because if he finds out they've got to go to the Death Star
Yeah.
and Darth Vader's on there, Obi-Wan's saying I can feel Darth Vader and Luke's saying I can feel him, and Han's there going, oh, I can feel him as well.
Yeah,
I don't really want to be.
Am I
I
going
don't
to
really want
fight?
to be. Yeah, I don't really want to be here because it's not my.
I don't have a light. I don't have a lightsaber, and
Yeah.
a blaster's not going to work. And my powers are not.
They're not good enough for this.
They're not fighting powers for
Yeah,
Jedi.
but then maybe he would do it because it's part of the story that he helps them.
Yeah, I mean that's what when I said earlier that this would be the sort of the fantastical idea. Sort of, it wouldn't work.
No.
We know it would never. Han Solo couldn't be an actual Jedi
Yeah.
because the story would fall apart.
Yeah.
Because if he then doesn't want to be found out and he denies Obi-Wan passage, then that's kind of end of the story, isn't it?
That's it. Because how else would they get there? The
And
story is bent on Han giving them a lift.
But then he might say, I can't help you, but I know somebody who could, and he might recommend a different pilot. And
Yeah.
that pilot might take them, but then they might be blown up because they're not force sensitive. They don't have the luck.
Yeah, to get out of that situation.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
if we go back to the first idea that Han Solo is force sensitive but doesn't know it, but is actually lucky because of it.
Yeah.
The other pilots that he might go with won't have that, and yeah, it could be in all sorts of trouble. And then it's the end of the story, isn't it? You need Han Solo.
And you need him at the end to help
Yeah.
Luke blow up the Death Star.
Yeah,
and
so even if you get back to the end of the story, if it wasn't another human and there weren't as many draws like this for Han Solo, he's thinking, yeah, maybe I've got to know these people. There's money involved. I know that if I can do this, there's many riches and there's a princess.
Yeah.
If it was a different race, if it was a different creature who was the pilot, because there's tons of non-human pilots, and they know each other, I think, by the looks of it. They won't be enamoured in the same way.
No.
They'll be like, I'm flying you there. It's 20,000 credits,
Yeah.
all up front.
Unless they're ex-rebels, and then, or like, current rebels,
Yeah.
they might be able to find a rebel pilot to take him, and then they'd be like, yeah, we'll join in the fight. But then maybe they'd get shot, and they wouldn't know what corridor to take to get back to the Falcon
Yeah.
on the Death Star, and then it would be like, oh, we're all lost. And then it would just be Luke, Leia, flying off with the Falcon, or the ship, and the other pilot's dead, Obi-Wan's dead, and you've just got Luke and Leia, two little 15-year-olds flying around space going,
What are we doing?
yeah, where are we going?
Why are we here?
Yeah, where are we going? Yeah. Do you want to smooch in the back? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You need that. The story needs to be driven by that. And I think if Han knew he was force sensitive and he knew he had some training and he knew all of this, he would have to put on a bloody good show to keep it hidden and just to show up at the right times and stuff like that. But then by the time episode 7 comes around, let's say he's open with it and he says to Leia, do you know what, I've always been a bit of a Jedi.
Yeah.
Our kids are going to be quite, well, not powerful because of me, because I'm just a smuggler, but our kids are going to be force sensitive, blah, blah, blah. I think maybe the outcome would be the same. He'd get bored of the rebellion because it's in his character, not as a Jedi, as is his character. And maybe he would try and help Ben Solo, but then he sends him off to Luke. Why? Because he knows he ain't good enough. That's part of him. He's like, oh, I can use my force stuff to do this, but I don't want anything to do with it, kid.
But could have become Solo and Son smugglers.
Yeah.
And company.
Solo and Sons.
Yeah.
Both using the Force to get what they want.
I mean, if one Jedi would be an amazing smuggler.
Yeah, imagine two.
Two would be unstoppable, right?
Yeah.
And then you got Chewie as the muscle.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been quite cool.
That would be a great story, and I would like to see that.
What if?
Yeah.
But no, yeah, but then again, for episode 7, 8, 9, you need Ben Solo to go and be Kylo Ren. Yeah. So even if Han is Force sensitive and he's open to being sort of Jedi-ish, it'd be like that. That he still has to leave Leia and has to take Kylo Ren to Luke for Luke to then make mistakes to make Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be, Palpatine's back, and Han's going, what? And the story would have all of that sort of stuff with Rey and Ben Solo out of it, because it don't mean anything. No. Because Han's technically just gone.
Yeah.
Because it's all based on Han. It all starts because Han and Leia give Ben Solo to Luke.
That's right, yeah.
That is the crux of it. Yeah, Rey's important, blah, blah, blah. But it wouldn't be the story it is unless they send Ben to Luke. So I think even Han's character, he might be a Jedi, and they go, can't I just go wandering with you, Dad? And we'll learn the Force stuff together. And he goes, no, I've been to a few temples. I can't be asked. Go to your Uncle Luke, because your mum ain't got time to school you either, because she's too busy. Yeah, I haven't seen a booty cheek in years. And then he sends him off anyway. So the outcome has to be the same. It's like we say in every episode, isn't it? The outcome has to be the same for the story to progress. All that's going to happen is Han will be able to Jedi mind trick a couple of dudes, and maybe he'd be just as lucky, but maybe it'd be a conscious effort to be lucky. It wouldn't just be his general. Oh, he's a Jack Sparrow kind of devil of the high galaxy seas.
Yeah.
He's consciously doing it, and he's manipulating events based on his training that he's had. But I don't think he'd never be the kind of guy. I know he showed up at the end of 4 and shot a few TIE fighters, but I can't ever see him standing next to Rey or Kylo Ren in Palpatine's palace with a lightsaber drawn, going, I've kept this lightsaber hidden for 50 years, and now I've got it out and I've got to try and fight two youngins. I can't just see him in his character standing there with Rey with a lightsaber out, and it's like a gold colour because he's just money obsessed or something. You can just have any colour lightsaber these days. The kyber crystals are flooding out, and then they're both there, and she's like, "Granddad," and he's like, "No, you're not related to me. Stop it." You know what I mean? and then he would die then anyway, because he's old, and even his Force luck might just give out, because then he's like, he might do an Obi-Wan thing where he's like, I need to die to give you a bit of my power or something.
Yeah, it's a distraction, so you can.
Yeah, but I'm all right with dying.
Yeah,
that might be the only sort of redeeming thing. Leia's gone, Ben's gone, and now it's just him. Luke's gone, and he's just like, if he did survive, and obviously Kylo Ren didn't kill him, and he's there with Rey at the end in Palpatine's palace, it would be very difficult to see Han Solo pull out a lightsaber without making it funny. Like if he picked one up and said, "Oh, this is a funny bit of kid, look at me twirl this around," and he's going, "No, it's dangerous." But to be all serious, and he's got his leather jacket on, but it's got a hood, and then the music starts and there's Han Solo, with a lightsaber, you'd just be like that. Have I just taken drugs?
Yes,
because this is surreal.
This is not
It's
right.
weird. It's not his character. It's a nice idea,
but I don't think it works.
No, I prefer
at any point in any of the story.
No, I prefer he is Force sensitive, but he doesn't know it.
Yeah, I think so.
Because that's explainable in how it manipulates the story through Han Solo, and I quite like him thinking that he's all sort of jumped up and lucky, and actually it's just Qui-Gon behind him helping him out, or some sort of force.
I think it's quite good. I think he has a lot of plot armor.
Yeah, of course he does.
And using the Force as an explainer for that, I think is. It's not a huge mental jump to get to that point.
No. No.
But as we've gone through it, and we go, yeah, this sounds like, oh yeah, this could be the Force. Oh, this could be the Force. Oh, maybe he's lucky here because of the Force. Not with Jabba because he's not.
Yeah.
He's not manipulatable. That's even a word. But yeah, I think that's the best way to look at it. I think that's.
Yeah. And he was able to talk in the actual Han Solo film.
Yeah.
He was able to talk himself out of that dangerous situation at the end, and he got let go.
Yeah.
And I know Lando came down and sort of helped him, But that whole film could be, the Force helped him through every single step of that film, because it's just sheer dumb luck, which has been explained is the Force in most occasions.
Yeah.
He finds Chewie. Funny how they're in the same sort of hovel together. They get out, they meet Emilia Clarke, the Queen Daenerys Stormborn.
Yes.
And all of these things happen, and then you're like, that's a crazy roller coaster. Force. But he doesn't know it, and he thinks he's just literally God's gift, but you ain't. It's building you up to basically help Luke. Luke ain't even been born yet, but he's been guiding.
They play the is it Sabak, the card game that he plays with Lando?
Yes.
And he wins that, doesn't he?
And he wins the Falcon through the card game, yeah. And they show that in that film, don't they? They show it. Again.
Luck.
Or
the Force.
The Force has probably gone, you need that ship. And it's that subconscious, you get a good feeling about something.
But he loses a lot up to that point, doesn't he?
Yeah. And then the Force is like, wait.
You've learned something here.
Yeah.
You've learned that you can lose.
Yeah.
But then it's gone.
It's gone a bit
You're
of
not
humility.
going to give up, though.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to step in here and, go for it now.
It's the same in Bad Batch. There's a scene in the Bad Batch Series 3 where they play a card game.
Yeah.
And I think it's Sobek. I can't remember. And Omega plays it. And we all think she's Force sensitive, It's part of the main storyline is that she's a clone with Force sensitivity.
No, okay, yeah.
Which you don't hear about ever. It's not a thing. But she wins again. And even though she doesn't know she's Force sensitive, I mean, the whole series is telling you she is. Like it's blaring in the face.
Yeah.
But she's on the understanding that she's not. At this point anyway, nobody's told her that she might be.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. And we all know that she is in the background. So she wins. And it's the same with Han, is that it's sort of like the Force was just, touching the little sides there, nudging in the right direction for the win. Because if you're sensitive to it, you've got the emotions flowing, the Force is going, all right, this is almost a true reason.
Yes.
You've learnt here. Let's just give you that little nudge so you know where you're going. And it's the same thing as Han winning the Falcon. You could basically say that all of these big events are based on the Force just trying to guide the story.
Yeah, for good or bad. I don't think it decides what's good and what's bad.
No, it just has a nudge in a direction for people.
Maybe it looks at, if you don't succeed in what you're doing, then you fail. And if you fail, the Force fails.
Yeah, and maybe the Force is just guiding itself to keep going.
To keep surviving. Almost parasitic.
Well, yeah, almost.
Like it wants the host to survive for as long as possible.
So the Force sensitivity around that host and other beings then becomes more.
Yes. That's interesting in itself.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway. We've talked for nearly an hour, if you can believe that.
Oh yeah! Oh my goodness me!
Yeah, I think that's been really interesting. Actually,
that's a good little thought process there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've liked that episode.
One I think is definitely more plausible than the other.
Oh yeah,
by far.
Yeah,
but I think it's good to explore all the options and see what's out there.
Yeah.
So that being said. Good place to wrap up.
Yeah, man.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
An absolute pleasure.
Always.
Absolute pleasure. We've had a good couple of days, haven't we?
Yeah, it has been good. And now we're going to end up having a break.
Yeah, for a little while now, aren't we?
Yeah, we need to work it out.
We'll have a look in a minute.
Anyway, it's by the by.
Yeah.
Right. And speaking of by the by, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Look after yourself.
Be good.
And stay out of the sand.